Alrighty, so welcome back. It's been a while, about a month to be exact. Had some stuff happen while I was away from uploading these videos, but the main thing that happened was my computer actually broke. The screen sort of just messed up and it needed to get repaired. Because of that, I had to take my computer into repair, and because all this COVID stuff's going on, they've just got so many computers and stuff they've got to fix. So it ended up taking me about 2.5 weeks to get this thing back. And in that time, I literally couldn't edit anything, which meant I couldn't post anything, which is why I haven't posted on here for about a month. But I'm back now, so keen to get back into this stuff. The COVID cases are looking good. Today we had under 100, I think it was like 94 or something. So, you know, stuff's looking hopeful at the moment. So hopefully, you know, within the next couple months, weeks, I'll be able to go out and actually shoot and be allowed to be out of the house for more than 1 hour. So it's just a good time to be getting back into this stuff, and yeah, keen to do it. Today's just a quick tutorial on how to use the Orton effect in your photos. It's this weird technique that sort of gives your photos a dreamy, glowy vibe in them, which I personally really like and use in every single photo that I edit. It looks cool, it's super simple to apply in Photoshop, and yeah, without wasting any more time, let's hop onto my computer and I'll show you guys how to apply the Orton effect on your photos. So this is the photo we're going to be editing today, and we're going to be taking it from this to this. So the first thing I'm going to do is find a photo that I want to edit. Then I'm going to import it into Lightroom and do a base edit. This part's obviously super subjective depending on the time of day you shot the photo, what sort of look you're going for. This photo I'm editing is a night photo, and the Orton effect works really well on night photos. So I just sort of played around with the tones and the colors of the image and got it to a point that I really liked. Then I double clicked on the image, went to edit in and edit in Photoshop. All this is doing is creating like a link between Lightroom and Photoshop, so you can edit your photo in Photoshop and then save it directly back into Lightroom. But once your photo opens in Photoshop, I'm going to unlock this background layer and drag it down to the new layers tab to duplicate this layer. The new layers tab is the one with the little plus inside the box. And now we've got two identical layers of the same image. Next, make sure you're on the top layer, and we're going to go to image and apply image. Pause the video here if you need to, and just make sure you've got the same settings as I do, as this is quite an important part of the tutorial. But once you're all good with that, hit OK, and you'll see your image looks cooked. It looks horrible, yeah, the image just looks ruined, it looks trashed. But all we're going to do is change the blending mode to screen, and you'll see your image comes back. Now you'll see if I turn that top layer on and off, the highlights of the image are sort of a bit more blown out compared to the original we brought in from Lightroom, but that's what's going to sort of allow us to get that dreamy, glowy look in our photo. Next, we're going to actually add the effect into the photo. So I'm going to go up to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur. And you'll see this pop-up come up, and there's a slider inside of it. This part's also super subjective depending on what sort of a look you're going for. Some photos, I set the radius down to like 5. Other photos, I have it cranked up to like 50, 80. It just depends on what looks best, on what you think looks best, and what sort of a look you're going for. But for this photo, I thought 17.5 looked best. Once you find a point you like, hit OK, and now you'll see the Orton effect has actually been applied to your photo. If I turn this top layer on and off, you can really see the difference from when we started, but you'll see some parts of the image just don't look right with this effect being applied to them. Now most people will just create a layer mask and sort of paint out the parts of the image they don't want to be affected, but I'm even lazier than that, so I actually just grab the eraser tool and sort of rub out every part of the image that I don't want to be affected by the effect. Man, I'm getting confused on my words today. So I usually find the Orton effect works best on sort of the highlights of your photo, but it doesn't always look the best in sort of the shadows and the midtones. So as you can see, I literally just rub out parts of that top layer that I don't want to be affected in the final photo. I did a super rough job with it. I was in a bit of a hurry when I was editing this, but as you can see, it doesn't really matter as long as you get the main parts. And that's about it. I hit Command S on the keyboard, open up Lightroom, and your Photoshop creation pops up in Lightroom automatically. I then just sort of played around with the highlights and the whites of the image, because when we do apply the Orton effect, sometimes they are a little blown out, and that's it. You've successfully applied the Orton effect to your photo. I actually ended up going back to this image after and spending a lot more time on it in Photoshop, and I ended up with this photo here. This one was a bit more complicated and time consuming to make, but I still used that Orton effect in this photo, and I think it looked really good. So yeah, that's gonna wrap this one up. Hopefully someone out there learned something. It's definitely a unique look to add to your photos. I'm currently editing a new creative process episode, which should be out next week. I think that's next week's video, and still working on a lot of larger film projects that are, you know, ages away from being published, but I'm working on them. So they'll definitely be out at some time. I have no clue when though. But yeah, that's it from me today. I'll catch you guys in the next one. There we go. Oh yeah, that was a good crack.
Talk slick for the kids in the way. Got about 3 side hoes in the condo, and they all want a piece of the game. Could give 2 fucks by the bitch in the shadow.